I think we're live. Are we finally live? That's taken a little bit longer than planned. So apologies first off for being late. Now I'm just going to blame YouTube for me being late. Basically, the whole YouTube live streaming thing seems to be a bit of a mess at the moment. They're moving over to the new YouTube Studio beta thing, and it is really still in beta, which is why it seems to barely work. When it creates live streams, it creates two, has new live streaming keys for every single stream. It's just a mess. So, hello to everyone. Thank you very much for waiting. Is it actually live? I think even with ultra low latency, I'm currently getting a lot of latency. I'm not sure if it's actually working quite properly. Sound is odd. Anybody else finding anything particularly odd apart from the fact that nothing works? I've just switched a little bit in OBS. Is it now working a little bit better? Literally the smoothest start to a live stream ever. We will get started in a bit as soon as we get this figured out. I want to make sure that you can all hear it just okay. Is it working a little bit better now? We're up to 26 people, so we've got a lot of people to disappoint. Let's see if I can check it on my phone. Come on, shut up. Stuttering in the audio. There's right. I think that's kind of better now. Is that better? Hello? Yeah, okay. It seems to work kind of okay through my phone. Let me know what everyone else is seeing. Is it working okay for you? Does the sound now work as it's meant to, or is it all still going a little bit weird? Let me know ASAP. Still sounds odd. Why does it sound odd? Unless I've changed. Okay. Right. How are we doing now? A slight improvement? I think I had the wrong bitrate set on the audio recorder. That might have been why it was going a little bit janky. How are we doing now? Does it sound more normal? Much better. Yes. Only 15 minutes late. Oh, goodness me. Right. Well, apologies again for probably cutting out the beginning when I was apologising the first time for being late. Let's crack on with it a little bit now. I'm going to start opening the box where I explain why I was late. YouTube live streaming is broken. So, today, as suggested in the description and or title, if you've seen that, which probably you have, we're going to be taking a look at the Two Trees Sapphire Pro. Now, the reason I wanted to take a look at this, well, a couple of reasons. Firstly, I want to be able to get an enclosed machine. I mean, that was sort of part of the plan here, but as we saw last week, yeah. So we also have this one, which will give us a chance of maybe having something decent as well. So this is, while this isn't enclosed by default, it does look like enclosing it may not be too difficult. So it's a Core XY machine, which everyone kind of seems to like the sound of at the moment. I myself, not exactly new to Core XY. This frame here behind me, which you can sort of partly see, used to be Steve. I've been trying recently to just play with some like standard parts, but Core XY is basically just like a belt arrangement for a Cartesian printer. So I don't know if they have released the Marlin source code yet. We'll take a look, see what's in the USB drives and stuff in the box first, and then I'll check the website after and have a rant on Twitter after that. On the topic of the Monoprice source code, I did, as I mentioned on Twitter, I asked them for an update on where they got to in doing their research and finding out, and they're just like, oh, we've not had an answer yet. So they're clearly very proactive about getting this sorted, which makes me extremely happy. Not. So I'm going to keep pestering them, and hopefully they'll end up eventually getting that source code for their machine. I think the bit that's confusing for them is that they've bought basically a Guido machine, and when they claim that all they've changed is the logo, technically it's true from their perspective, because they've basically bought a machine, they think, and they've just changed the configuration that Guido produced. If Guido had produced or publicized their firmware, then we may be part of the way there, but they haven't. So yes. So let's take a quick look in the box. Oh, you can actually see reasonably well from that camera because it's such a wide angle. So I might just tip it up. So there had been some reports from other places of packaging not being particularly great and things arriving bent and broken. My one seems to be in a reasonably good condition. There doesn't look like there's even any paint damage. It doesn't look bent, I don't think. We'll probably inspect that a little bit closer once we're out the box. But everything's fairly nicely arranged. No idea what that is. Everything looks like it's labelled, fairly well packaged. This plastic, I'm pretty sure, is not recyclable. Is decent packaging in terms of it can take multiple collisions, whereas polystyrene stuff can only take one. But yeah, because it's not recyclable, it's still not perfect. Ooh, that's fairly chunky. So this is clearly the whole gantry assembly for the Core XY motion system. You've got the two motors. I thought they said LDO motors, but they're not. Yusong Shine stepper motors. We'll see what sort they are in a little bit, probably. Looks like, so we've got proper linear rails. I say proper linear rails as opposed to linear rods on both X and Y axis. We'll test that kind of rigidity and that motion in a bit. Not sure quite how much assembly there is to do here, but obviously we'll get all the bits and bobs out first, and we'll see where we get to. And then after that, we got toolkit. Ooh, that's some stepper heat sinks, stepper driver heat sinks. There's some half decent looking cutters in there. No, they're just the generic side cutters. Let's move over to this view. So this is all the kind of stuff we get in here.
Looks like micro SD card reader, some things to manage cables, PTFE tube, feed tube, Bowden tube, and then looks like stepper driver heatsink, so maybe there's some stepper drivers somewhere, or maybe they're on the board, or I don't know. Maybe they had them on the board and decided they also needed heatsinks. This looks like a kind of weird end stop switch that, oh, chat doesn't work, does it? Yeah, we've got no chat today. I had set up Streamlabs OBS, which is like a modified version of OBS as far as I can tell, because OBS is open source, and that was going to be what I used today, and that's what I had some technical difficulties with. It kind of worked really well yesterday on a very short stream that I was just testing things, but anyway, there's no live chat on the screen today, for better or for worse. So anyway, yeah, this looks like a kind of little end stop. Let's just take it out. So it's just an end stop that's attached to this injection molded part with a grub screw and a threaded thing on it. So that'll be probably RZ limit switch. This looks like, is it labelled? No, filament sensor, yeah, filament sensor. Oh, Z axis end stop. So presumably we'll get then no automatic bed leveling, bit of a shame. Filament sensor, presumably that's going to be just another end stop switch in there. I don't know, we'll take a look maybe later. In here we've got automatic sensor. Don't know what it's automatically sensing, and I've not seen a sensor like this before. Oh, goodness me. That looks like something that would like attach to the nozzle and then touch the bed. So it's like a, I don't know, a removable, I don't know. That's an extension cable for that weird looking device. I'll have a look at that later on. How long before I run out of space to get more 3D printers? Well, I'm basically at that point right now, so... Ooh, okay. This is actually fairly interesting. So the bed clearly has springs, but these springs look properly beefy. Like, you get some compression on those and they're not going anywhere. Hopefully, maybe. They are really, really stiff, so hopefully that will result in a fairly decent bed setup. And then we've just got bags of screws. Next little bag, we've got the whole extruder part. So the whole extruder assembly. It's used for the bed living. That's bed living. Oh, okay, so it is just a different type of printer. I've actually never had a Delta printer, so that's probably why I don't know anything about that. That's a slightly discount looking hot end assembly. Corners were cut here, I can tell. This heatsink block looks like it's not going to help a whole lot. There doesn't seem to be... Well, it's a Titan, yes. We'll have to hear how loud that is, but I expect that's going to be a fairly loud and obnoxious hot end. We have some filament, which is orange 1.75mm. I thought it said PLAF filament for a minute. PLAF. It's PLAF. PLA filament. The next assembly we have is the BMG extruder. Of course, yes, this is not the extruder assembly, is it? Silly me. It's a Bowden extruder. Bit weird using the term BMG because I thought that was like a Bondtech thing. I mean, clearly they're trying to mimic the Bondtech here, so that was obviously the purpose, but how do I get this out of here? This could certainly use some larger bags. So this is clearly injection molded out of some fairly chintzy looking plastic. And that's your bolt. So this is going to be then a Bowden setup. because we obviously got our extruder separate to the hot end. If they were together moving on the gantry, then that would be direct drive. I'm probably going to lose half of these parts before I need them, on the basis that I'm not taking very good care of them. A film probe. Cheap and good. If you have a solid bed and do not have to... Oh, a film probe. Maybe I'll... Presumably it works by a bit like a keyboard switch on a... oh, hello. That's a very greasy looking bearing. Ah, this is annoying. So this is going to have all the manufacturing grease in it. I'm going to have to make a decision on how I'm going to deal with it. Do I spend ages cleaning it out and putting in something else? Do I just add in a load of PTFE lubricant? Suggestions in the comments would be excellent. We've got a belt here, GT2 belt, or two. Looks like just one in there. So hopefully there's another one somewhere. Some soft feet. Well, yeah, they're hard actually. And a filament holder, which looks really, really tiny. And we're still only part way through the box. Another really greasy bearing. Wash the bearing with some diesel. I don't have any diesel to hand, so I can probably wash it in something, but diesel would not be that thing. I hate having to get rid of all this. It's just so much foam that I end up chucking straight in the bin. Power cable. This is an EU power cable. So it's going to be a whole load of straight in the bin. So Z-axis rods, looks like 12 millimeters. Let's check if they're properly hardened. I'm just looking for a file so I can check the hardness of these rods, but I can't seem to find a file. I always have one in this drawer, apart from obviously when I need it. Damn it! Just gonna see if I can go grab a file. 2 seconds. Oh. Where have all my files gone? Here's one. Okay. Right. So one way to test the hardness of a steel rod is to scrape it with a file. If it glides, then it's hard. If it doesn't glide, then it's soft. Yep. That's fine. So two looks like 12mm rods. Quite a lot of parts. So in the bottom of the box, it's all just kind of laid out like that. Rods were down in here. There's nothing actually in here. Hopefully that's not missing. It looks like this will come out in a couple of sections. A basic looking bed. Ooh, just a sticker, so there's no removable bed either. 235 by 235. Really generic looking, maybe not particularly well soldered. I guess it's alright. The wires look pretty slim. Let's give you all a little closer look. So that's what the bottom of the bed looks like. Da, 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 da. Are these pads for thermistor on the... They are as well. Yeah, so yeah, that's a bit weird, isn't it? So these two pads in the middle are wires that go as a PCB all the way up to the center. So you just have to solder your little probe, your thermistor just right by the hole where it plugs in here. Whereas in this case, they've just literally like taped it to the bottom and shoved it in the hole. I think it's a little hole, yeah. So kind of weird there. I guess what they're going for is to make it easily replaceable, and it's obviously less work for them, I guess. Can you hear that low drone? I think it's just started next door. So yeah, that's that. Running out of space. Don't need packaging. So we've got some like split tube conduit stuff. Not a great fan of this. Better than nothing probably. But it's just so... I mean, it's not permanent, but it takes so long to put it on and slide the cables in, and it hurts your fingers unless you have like a tool to do it. So, better than nothing, not perfect. What I might do actually before I get any further is get these... What should I put them in? I've actually never cleaned these out before. Should I put them in some isopropyl alcohol? Is that the right thing? We can probably find some of that. Sorry, just finding some sealed pop to put some isopropyl and bearings into. I'm sure when I get back to the screen you'll all have told me that isopropyl is not a good material to clean them out with. And then grease I've got. This. Lithium based, high melting point, multi-purpose grease. It's fairly thick, but I think that'll be alright. Yep, wax still okay. 1,000 better than yesterday. Right. Da, 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 da. So, I don't have anything that will replace this in the event that this is not the right thing to do. So, let's just hope this. In fact, I'm going to get some gloves as well. Really should have been a bit more organised about this. So I always find that this horrible Chinese grease stuff makes my skin really itchy. So yeah, don't want to get it on my hands particularly. So just a couple of gloves, and now I can go for it. So they're LM12UU, yeah, double length. Where's the other one? Yeah, I feel like this is not going to work well because I'm not going to have long enough. They're probably only going to be in there a short while, so. And then they're not going to have time to dry either. What I might do instead, actually, even though I've now got this far, is just bung them full of this, the multi-purpose grease, and hope for the best. Because I don't really want to wait 4 hours or whatever to get that dissolved and then have to wait for it to dry and all that kind of stuff. What I might do now, for purposes of progressing the stream, I'm just going to fill this a little bit with that, and then I might just buy a couple extra of these, clean them out and kind of do it properly, because I just don't want to spend hours doing that right now. So I think we'll leave that as that, and we'll get to it when we get to it. So let's carry on taking the stuff out of here. This looks really... This is literally the dodgiest thing I've ever seen in a box. It's like barely attached properly. It looks like it's been cut by a child with a knife. Presumably it's supposed to be some like bed insulation. Kind of fits in between the holes, but I mean, really? I can't see anything possibly could get less precise than this. Look at it. It's an absolute mess. It looks like they've blooming like torn it by hand or something. It's an absolute state. No idea if it's suitable for putting against that heated area. Is that silver side? Looks like the silver side is kind of permanent, so which makes me think it's like thermal insulation for the bed. I use something from Thingiverse that can be used to pack the new grease in. Cool, that'll be useful. Mixing grease is a big no-no. Well, yes, I suppose you're right. In proper applications, sorry you missed that. In proper applications, I wouldn't. But this is for entertainment purposes only. So here we just got two separate 20 by 20 extrusions and another two here. So presumably those are going to form 4 corners. Okey-dokey. This will be the bed plate. At least it's got some folded sides, so hopefully that will remain fairly rigid. And obviously the bearings mount onto these screws that are already pre-installed, which is kind of weird, but I guess kind of nice. I suppose actually that's a bit of a pain because now I have to take them all out just to put them all back in. Anyway, let's get rid of some bags that I don't need. I feel like I maybe should have looked at the instructions before just taking everything out. So that's some more stuff that's come out of the box. These are like, these plastic things are just like covering strips for the axis for the V-slot extrusion. I've never really been a fan of using them. And then a lead screw. It's actually kind of a surprising number of parts in here. And then the bottom of the box is just the whole base of the printer. That's okay. What? Right, okay, sure. So the bottom's like completely empty, open I mean. And then in the bottom of the box we have one particularly random PTFE washer that I cannot pick up. And then the actual base of the printer. So, yeah. So the control board there is a MakerBase MKS Robin Nano version 1.1. And it looks like the stepper drivers, you've got a pair of TMC 2208s, which hopefully are the X and Y, and then what looks like a pair of A4988, which will be like, aren't they maximum like 1/16 micro stepping? And then 2208s, presumably they've stuck them high to get a fairly silent motion overall. And then these two will be Z-axis and extruder. E0 and Z, yes. So no end stops or anything plugged in yet. A lot of other stuff not plugged in yet. So there will be obviously a little bit of assembly to do there. Quite heavy, actually, that. Right. So there's the PTFE washer. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with that. Sorry, I'm probably missing a lot of chat. Looks like the thing that I found in my first 170 quid printer from Amazon. Sorry, missed out what that is. Oh, that's the thing number. That's good. How am I going to remember that? I'm just going to take a note of that quickly. The one I used was for layer locking syringe, but I put the grease in a normal syringe and pressed it hard against the back. It worked fine. Can we get a closer look at the electronics maybe? Kind of curious. Yep, okay, let's do that. So once I've just got this box out of the way, yep, 100%, nothing left in there. Right. Cool, that's gone. Oh, this is looking, oh my gosh. That's really bent. I'm not sure if this was supposed to be attached to the bottom or not, but clearly it isn't anymore. So let's have a little look at these electronics. Spring, have a sit down. Is the casing grounded? Doesn't look like it. Well, it's not directly grounded properly, I would say. Would you count the screws as going through the case of the power supply into that as valid grounding? I'll leave your judgment on that one. Let's have a closer look. Oh, I should have switched wide, then move the camera in. Stop everyone getting motion sick. And then go close up. So, can we have a look there? Oops, daisy. So that's like control board. These are your two A4988s and the two 2208s. The 2208s have a distinct, like, dirty look about them. That's obviously what the two heat sinks are for. They are presumably getting rather hot. You've got a really mounted fan here and one over here. That's weird. This one's blowing this way, and the one that you can't see, this one up here, is blowing that way. So I'd expect that to blow in and then that to blow across there. Not the case. Fairly decent terminals on here, although the thickness of the wire is somewhat dubious. That looks particularly thin. What the hell? I'm super confused about what's going on with this power switch. Resistance between CPU case and the printer case. Do you mean power supply case? It's going to be pretty difficult because I don't think there's any exposed. Let's just check continuity. That's probably easiest, right? Continuity. Trouble is, without any bare metal, it's difficult to say. There's not continuity, so no continuity between there and a screw that's going through over here, which is loose. Yeah, so I was looking at this. This wiring on this switch looks really odd. I'm trying to get my head around how that's working. So that's obviously earth in bright yellow, which is not standard. I suppose this is US standard. Do they have yellow and then black and red? We normally in the UK have green and yellow, is your earth, brown is the live, and blue is neutral. But this has just got like really flimsy. Look at that. What is that for? I think that's just the current because there's a light in the switch. So that wire is there only to power the light on the switch. So this is neutral. So live instead is going over here, through the fuse, over into the switch, and then out on this red one. I suppose it's a bit weird, but why they're using a black wire here when it's live, and then I don't know. Standards wise, not particularly perfect, but I mean the wires as well just look a bit thin to me. How much? I suppose it is mains, so low current shouldn't be too bad maybe. Don't know what the power on the power supply is. Let's check that. That would have been loud. The cover on the power supply was open. 360 watts, 24 volts. Good to see more 24 volt systems around. That I do like. Yeah, so there is one fuse and there's a light as well. There's a light in the power switch. If we take a look around here. Oh golly. Can you see that? Yeah, yeah. So you've got your fuse obviously in here. With a spare fuse as well. Wow. What's the fuse rated for? 250 volts. 6 amps, I think. Not sure if that's the right rating, to be honest, but now you know what it is. Yeah, that's going to have a light in it when that powers on. Okay, let's have a look at the instructions, because we've got a lot to do, I feel, and we've already spent 45 minutes just taking it out of the box. So, instructions. I'm going to take these off now, I think. Might get some more later if we get some more greasy things. Read me first. So, how to install the aluminium profiles. Insert the 4 pieces into the base frame holes. Lock the M5x15 screws into the hole on the side. Tighten the hex key. Lock the M5x10 screws into the profile bottom hole. Tighten with the Allen hex keys. Sure. That looks easy. So that's the instruction. Now I've just got to find the screws that allow me to complete said instruction. So that's all like sideways. M5x16, M5x15 and M5x10. M5x10, M5x16, I think that'll do. It's a whole weird selection of screws. Like whenever you get one of these kits, they're never the same screw in everything. They're always like, well, we had these screws today, so these are the screws you're going to get. One day you get one size screw, and one day you get a slightly different size, slightly different colour, different head type, and all that kind of stuff. Right. Why am I looking? Yes, I do need these. This is what I'm doing. Where's this other? This whole plastic stuff on the that covers all these components always just is really not that easy to cut. It's always kind of sticky. Oh no, this one's cut reasonably well. Yeah, that's gone all right actually. Oh, they're packed separately. Oh, come on. Nice. And then the other one. Hello, Ewan. Welcome back. Okay, so where's the instructions? Lost them. So first was M5/16. This camera angle I'm just going to adjust a little bit because I think we could do it a little bit better than that. Did that change a little bit? Is that a little bit better? Let's go a little bit more. We really need to pick the speed up because we've taken an hour to do nothing so far. Right, so let's get these in here. No washers. Ooh, these are nice. Kenneth, I think you were one of the first people to build a Steve, weren't you? Other than me, obviously. Yes, this is an iFixit toolkit. I'm working actually on getting links, affiliate links and stuff for all the tools and stuff that I'm using. Will be on my website soonish. But yeah, this is the Pro Tech toolkit. It's pretty decent. Quite expensive, but if you're assembling printers all the time, it's also pretty useful. I don't mind spending money on tools as long as they're stuff that I'm going to use. So generally I buy, like, the first time I might buy something really cheap. If I find I use it like a few times, then I'll just go ahead and buy something more expensive. There doesn't seem to be anything to particularly align these. So I guess at a later point in the build, I'll be coming back to them and loosening them and retightening them if needs be. Yeah, yours is still running, mine isn't, because I decided to take it to pieces and then regretted it and didn't have time to put it back together. Was that a question about Steve or a question about this one on Bowden or Direct? Yeah, Steve is direct drive. Designed for direct drive, but I mean it's kind of designed to be fairly modular, so if you wanted to do Bowden, you could do Bowden. If you want to do direct drive, you do direct drive. You know, you just do you. This machine, on the other hand, is Bowden. The downside about having direct drive setups on Core XY machines is that the larger your kind of head and extruder are, it can have a significant impact on your build volume, especially in like X and Y directions. By Z, you can just kind of rise out the top. But with X and Y, you have to, every like millimeter you put onto your like extruder assembly, you lose like 2 millimeters kind of effectively, one off each. Is weird. Anyway, that one doesn't even look straight. So that was a whole bunch of M5 screws. Now we've got a whole bunch more to do from the bottom for some inexplicable reason. Hang on, there's more of these than there should be. But it didn't ask me to put the bottom on. This is weird. Right. They are M5x10 screws, but I only need half of them. just in the build flow now. Oh, come on, this one doesn't fit. Really? Here's the downside of their weird assembly methods, like their tolerancing is just generally not very great. This just not going in at all. So I'm just gonna having sometimes words just escape me. I'm just removing this to see why it's not going in. See if it's because of the screw or the thread or what. Thread all looks fine, so that is not going in because it doesn't fit. So I'm going to put this one in first in the hope that that will pull it into the right position, and then the other ones hopefully will still go in. If I twist hard enough, it'll go in. That's the spirit. While we're here, don't forget to like the stream if you like to see stuff like this. Subscribe for more things like this, and also to get notified, ring the bell for when the review of this printer goes up. It will be a little while. The next review will be, I think it will be Elegant Mars. I'm not going to 100% commit to that, but I think that will be the next one. I've had that a little while now. I used it a lot more at the beginning than I have recently, but it's seen some fairly decent use, so got a lot to say about the Elegant Mars. Some of it good, some of it not so much. If you want to find out, make sure you subscribe. So that's pretty much step one. Step two is the rods. Hopefully this will not take very long. That's one. That's two. Bish bash bosh. Oh, that's the way that these screws are so close to the frame just makes them really difficult to tighten. Yeah, it's like not even close to being tight. Ooh, dear. This is when I need an actual hex wrench to get the leverage. Again, this is probably something I'll tighten now and then come back, loosen and retighten later. So that's all just stable enough to get us going. Generally when I do these builds, I do re-loosen and retighten just because once everything is in place, you know, it just aligns better. So yeah, I do that. Don't know if it's 100% a good idea, but it seems to work rather well. Insert the optical axis, as it calls it. There you go, the optical axis is now installed. Insert the T8 by 260 lead screw. This is another greasy thing. And that's definitely not right. So it just literally goes like a millimetre in the top because they've tightened this in a weird position and I can't really get to it. One rod is more down than the other, it seems. I think that's just how it looks. For me, it looks fine. I think it's just an illusion based on the angle. Oh, this is the wrong thing. Bloomin' Nora. Okay. I need to loosen the screw at the bottom here because there's literally like 2 millimeters of gap. If we take a little closer look. So this literally just goes in like 2 millimeters, and there's no way that that's going to grip properly. So I'm just trying to undo this so I can move the coupler up a little bit. Oh, that's tight. Oh, and it's immediately come off. You can see how much has been tightened. I think that might have been pushed down in assembly, or in shipping rather. Somewhere about there is probably good. Oh. Yeah, probably a good idea actually. Meh. This'll do. Good tip though. Reasonably straight Z-rod. If you just take a look at the top, just to see. There's a little bit of wobble there, you can definitely see, but of all the lead screws I've had from China, it's definitely not the worst. It might just be weird alignment in there. Ooh. This is another one of the toolkit things. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this exact draper kit. It's not the most luxurious in the world. It's one of those things that it does the job and I have it. But if I was buying again, I'd probably buy something a little bit nicer. Next step, how to install the lead. Oh, I've just done that. How to install the heated bed platform. Put the bearing into the platform hole and lock with the screw. Let's get you some more juicy close-ups. That was very nice. Ooh, lovely. How professional. Right. These bearings. Greasy. So, do they want us to... Yeah, so they come up through... what? This is upside down. This goes this way up, I think. Yep. So I've got to take all of those screws out first, assemble it, and then put them all back. Is this the right one? Nope. That way around, and then that goes in there, and then these go back in here. Again, with these bearings, we're just kind of hoping that they're aligned properly. We're just going to tighten them up now exactly as they are, and then depending on the results we get after this, we'll take another look and see if we can improve it by just loosening them and retightening them once they're on there. Obviously the separation between the two bearings is going to need to be quite precise, otherwise it makes a bit of a racket and they probably wear out faster than they should. Small hair there, let's get that out of the way. By the way, I don't think I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, but I'm currently organising a trip to Form Next. So Form Next is a really big kind of business enterprise, I think, show for 3D printing. So I'll be trying to do some interviews of large businesses that have kind of interesting, cool stuff. So I think that'll be quite good. That'll be, I mean, that's not till middle of next month, so it'll be a little while off yet, but still should be interesting. So put the LM12U bearings into the platform lock with the screws. Put the 24-volt heated bed onto the platform hole, and lock with the heated bed screw kit. 4 pieces screw, 4 pieces spring, 4 pieces nut, shown in picture. You can choose 3-point positioning or 4-point positioning. Interesting. I'm going to go out on a limb with 3-point positioning. How adventurous. So I think I'll probably want to take this tape off now, just in case I can't access it very easily later. Oops. In fact, I might reposition some of it over this thermistor just to make sure that that's not going anywhere. No strain relief on these cables at all, not particularly good. So this is our bed mounting kit. So the nuts are thumb screws, but they're not nice big ones like on the Ender, they're just fairly small ones. So we'll have to see how they go. They're not going to go, so that goes, I think the arrangement we want is screw through that, spring on there, and we're doing 3-point. So that goes on this side. Something smells a bit funky, I'll tell you that much. Something that I've opened, I think it's these greasy bearings. That goes through there. And then on the back, we stick a thumb nut. Yes, it's in Germany, sorry, yeah. It's in Frankfurt. So I'll be flying out there sometime just before the show. Probably literally be just in time for the show. Thank you for that. I've had actually quite a few people in the past kind of say, surprised you don't have more subs, but I guess like people find it when they find it, right? This is not going in. It would be nice to have more, but I'm just going to keep doing what I do and eventually it will grow. There's no rush. This needs to be drilled out. So basically this screw is supposed to go in this hole and it won't go. I can thread it in, but that's not going to really help anything. I'll check the other hole as well while I'm here. Yeah, that one doesn't fit either. So we need to drill. I guess Chinese kits, that's what you expect. Selection of Bosch drill bits. Definitely not sponsored by Bosch. Where's my drill? Blueprint DK, any chance you will review Creative 3D Elf? I mean, if I get sent one, I would probably review it. It's kind of what I do, but I've not heard of it, which is why I haven't done it up to now. So, what size do we risk drilling by hand? Get everything in place. This is definitely a don't try this at home, do as I say, not as I do moment. I am going to get some safety glasses. It seems like everything that I need is on the other side of the room today. I'm just that organised. At least I've got the things. Right. Additive Industries. Interactive industrial SLM printers from my hometown. Nice. I'm going to try and check out, I mean, the easiest things for me to obviously talk about are FDM machines, as that's what most of my experience is on. So if people want to have a decent conversation and I want to do a decent interview, it really helps if I know a little bit about it in advance, or a lot about it in some cases. I'm watching you live to learn something more on Core XY printers. I'm going to build one like Steve. It's a BLV MGN Cube. There are quite a few like Steve now. When Steve started, there was just Hypercube and Steve. But now more and more seem to pop up. Well, I mean, there's obviously like Hypercube Evolution and things like that have popped up. They're becoming more and more popular, which does make me want to go back to it, because obviously being a YouTube channel, doing things that are popular is always useful. Especially when it's things that I'm also interested in. I've got like, there've been quite a few views to the channel based on Core XY as a keyword. So maybe doing some more on Steve on that basis. But just having this Core XY machine to fiddle with should be good fun. Oh dear, right. I really need to get a move on if I'm going to have any chance of doing a print today. Screw, spring, nut. Damn it. I put on safety glasses for pretty much everything. I guess a lot of people, I think, find that the more you do something, the less you're inclined to wear safety equipment, because you become so comfortable with the fact that you don't think anything's going to happen that you just fall into a kind of sense of security, which, I mean, I'm not going to tell people what they can and can't do, but I'm going to continue to wear as much safety equipment as possible. Not sure if that was supposed to be taken off now as per instructions, but YOLO, I've done it. I do really want to get a magnetic sheet for this though. I cannot stand the normal boring stuff. After completion. So this is clearly meant for the bed. I'm sure it is. But I don't want to do it. I don't want to put it on. Do I want to use this weird plastic sticker? I suppose if I'm going to do a review of the printer, I ought to make the printer as what the printer is meant to be, right? So let's put it on. Oh, that's terrible. How are you supposed to tighten the... the screws are just going to spin unless they've got a lot of clamping force. Okay, I think there's enough clamping force there. Because there's no holes in this top sheet, you can't access the top of these screws to make sure they're staying in place. Oh, D-bot, of course. D-bot's been around for ages. D-bot's not a cube. Yeah, D-bot's been around a very long time, actually. That had like thousands of views and builds before I even started working on mine, I think. I do have a tool for doing this. Nah, it ain't perfect, but it'll do. I don't think there's any bubbles in that, actually. There's probably like lots of little bubbles that I can't see just because of the strange texture, but it seems to have gone on fairly easily. The cardboard box thingy might go on the bottom of the sheet metal. Well, this thing is probably going to go... Oh, it's like a... Let's have a look. Spoiler alert, let's look forward in the instructions, see if it actually says where to use it. I'm going to bet it's not going to say where to use it at all. Nope. No mention of it. I'm pretty sure it's for the bed, because people normally want their bed hotter than they can get them. Now it's going to be very difficult to install that I've done that. Anyway, let's get rid of this tape. Blue hands. Right, let's get switch back. It's for isolation, it goes under the bed. Insulation, you mean? Yeah, it's supposed to be insulation to basically help the bed reach higher temperatures by wasting less energy. But there's no instructions, so I'm not going to put it on. Yes, I've done nothing about the grease on the bearings. I'm fully aware of this. I'm going to put some grease in them. Even if it's the wrong stuff, even if I'm mixing it. It's far from ideal, I know, but I'm going to do it anyway. Sometimes you've just got to do it. Can I fit my pinky in there? Not really. Let's use this screw. Oops, daisy. Blue nitrile print bed. I like the idea. Right, now I've got a really yucky screw. Let's just put that over there and pretend that that problem's going to deal with itself. W20 is terrible, it's WD-40. Yeah, WD-40, like general purpose, the stuff that you find everywhere is an oil displacer. and kind of more of a cleaning product than a lubricant. What the hell? It's not even going in. Well, that's just fantastic. So what the dickens? It should just go in, but it just doesn't. I think the lead screw nut might be somewhat damaged. I do have right. It's useful to have just stuff like this laying around. This is another lead screw. Oh, it's completely different. Just looking for one of the right screw sizes, dimensions, turnings, things. So, does this guy go in here? No. Right. The lead screw I think is a little bit rubbish. Yeah, there's some... Oh, the lead screw is absolutely rubbish, really rubbish. Is this a used... Which one's the new... Damn it, which one's the new one? They're both the exact same size. No idea which one's the new one anymore. Oh. There's two. What am I doing? These are both new ones. Okay. So does this fit this? Yeah, that's different to that. They're all different, which is why those are not going to fit. I don't think I have a lead screw that actually matches the pitch of this one. I have many lead screws, but none are the right size. Apart from maybe this one. Or maybe this one? Nope. I'm not sure if the problem is the lead screw or the nut at the moment. Yeah, I think this is different again. No, that... Yeah, it's different. can't I give it? What is going on? Oh. Well, that's a ball bearing out of the bearing. What is going on? Yeah, there was a tiny little bit of brass stuck in the lead screw. Oh, and this piece of metal ball came out of one of the bearings, so that's not perfect. Right. I've totally lost track of where I was. In the chat. So sorry about that. Right. Weird little mount for this. This is going on here pointing down, but the sensor goes up. Okay. So that's going on here like that. Okay, sure, why not? Take these off, covered in grease. No, way too big. This is probably in totally the wrong place, but let's just get it on somewhere for now. Before insert the top frame, please put the Z-axis end stop into optical axis. Pay attention to the direction of the Z-axis end stop. When you begin print, adjust the jack screws can change the Z-axis height. Jack screws. Believe the correct term is grub screw. Right. Now the next step is actually to put the top on, but before I do that, I want to check if it is as flat as it sort of looks. So I'm just going to bring it up onto the table on its own and have a closer inspection. I mean, this is a wooden table which is not perfectly flat. Yeah, I think this is not perfectly flat either, but I'm not totally sure which one's better of the two. I'd like to believe that the metallic part is flatter, but you never know with Chinese stuff. Oh, this is the exact thing I wanted to avoid. Grease all over my hands. Why do they insist on putting this weird plastic wrap over everything? I do not understand it. Do not see how it helps. It just gets in the way. Presumably it's there to like prevent scratches, but really? Oh my god. This is unbelievably greasy. It's literally like smothered in it. I'm actually going to get some cloth. What have I got? I want to just wipe a little bit of this excess grease off. My guess is this grease is like waste cooking grease. It smells rancid. That was probably not a good idea, but right, let's get this other side off. You probably can't see that particularly well. All the way down here, this surface is just smothered in grease. So I'm just going to wipe it into the surface. Needs a good going over that. It'll do for now. Right. So the next step is how OT install the top frame. See, look. How OT install the top frame. There is a kind of a stop. There's an end stop which is bolted in, so the rails can't come off the end. Fortunately. Sorry, I've missed like half of chat. Just trying to progress this right now. It's all very wobbly looking right now, so we've got to get this up onto here in this orientation. Oh, this is going to be oily and greasy. Let's use the reverse of a glove. Where's those rest of those screws I had earlier? Right, chat missed me too. There we go. So just making sure that these were fully pressed in, because they looked like they were going to cause like a bowing in the top, but that's sorted. Oh, that's becoming heavy. That feels heavier than the package. How is that possible? Right. It's kind of loud, isn't it? Oh, I've just squashed my insulation foam. Sad times. Let's have a quick look. I disassembled all of the guide blocks on my S and replaced it with the bearings. Maybe wash hands while at it. I'm buying genuine highway linear rails. Is it okay? So right, Jazz Mystery 2. Amazon containers, what? I'm so confused. Genuine high wind rails are definitely the best. Well, I don't know if they're the best. They're definitely a lot better than all the Chinese stuff. Two threes is better than 1 3. Yeah, two trees better than one? Sure, why not? Oh, it's extruder next. What? The extruder part. Okay, yeah, the extruder is actually the hot end and not the extruder, ironically. Right. How to install the X-axis extruder part. Lock the extruder part with the X-axis slider bracket. Tighten the hex key Allen wrench. What? I'm so confused. I don't know if high wind rails are worth it as such. I mean, probably yes. Otherwise, presumably they wouldn't have a market for selling them. But I don't have any experience with them, so honestly, no idea. From what I heard from E3D and when they were talking about their tool changer stuff, they tried cheap ones and they tried expensive ones. And the expensive high wind ones were significantly better. So from that point of view, if you trust them, then I would trust that they are significantly better. They're just so much smoother because the tolerances are much better. There's probably basically no controller tolerance on these and they're all just sloppy, which is why they're really loud and grindy. Whereas I would expect the high wind ones to be very, very smooth. This does not sit very well on here. How are you supposed to get that screw in? Can you see that from that angle? Not easily. Can I bring you in any closer? Not easily. So you might be able to see from that angle. This PTFE coupler thing is literally right in front of this hole. So I'm not quite sure how I'm supposed to get to that. Is there a tool available to take that out? I haven't even looked in the tool bag yet. Toolkit. Get the toolkit. No, there's no hex wrench. I mean, I've got hex wrenches all over the place, but this is just silly. How are you supposed to get a screw in there? You can't. It's not possible. Right, let's do it the easy way. Well, the lazy way, which probably will turn out more difficult, with an adjustable doohickey. Now I can put the screws in. does seem weird that this is kind of facing the back, but there you go. It is what it is. How much have I missed? Have I seen click spring? Never heard of it. My confidence in this hot ender extruder not particularly high right now. Right, so that's that on there. Now, for the belts. Who was interested in looking at the belts? Fix the belt with nylon cable ties? Really? Oh, man. Okay. So they give me exactly 4. No? There's lots more. Right, belts. Who is interested in watching belts? I'm not sure how I'm going to show belts. Honestly, no, I'm not totally sure it's supposed to be that way around. I'm now even less sure it's supposed to be that way around. This is the side the screws were already in. There's no way the hot end's going to reach. It's really... Yeah, the hot end... Honestly, I'm not sure, no. But I don't have any evidence to suggest it goes the other way either, so... Oh! I see what I've done. What an idiot. Okay, yep. Yeah. I got the right face, so it's mounted to the right face, but the wrong way round on that face. Which makes a whole lot more sense. It also explains how I could now access the screw without taking out this PTFE coupling. So I need to get this in here. Flip it 180, yeah. It just points into the sky. I'm going to guess that's probably not right. So... this way round. Does make quite a lot more sense, actually. Switch it back to 2 so you can see what I'm doing. feel like I've got a piece of metal stuck in my finger somewhere, like a kind of metallic splinter. Kind of a really sharp pain. Anyway, yeah, that looks like it should look, right? That looks much. Can now go to the full extent of the print area. Useful. Right, now belts. So, can I remember how to do core XY belts? That's the question. So we're going to start by going over this one here. And then we're going to go around the back of this into here. So that's one side of that belt. The other side is going to go up around this corner, along the back, down this side, over to this gear, around here to here. This belt is a lot longer than it needs to be. Oh. No, that's wrong. Oh, they're expecting me to do that, are they? What? Oh no, this is the wrong height, so this should be bottom one here. This should be bottom, this should be bottom, this should be bottom. There we go, that's right. So zip diddly doo dah, zip diddly day. Oh my, what a wonderful day. Come on. Right, that'll do. There doesn't seem to be any tensioning mechanism as such. Oh. What a fool. These zip ties are absolutely pants. The height of these, ooh. the offsets are not quite right, so the belts don't really align properly. So we're going to get some quite weird motion, I think. I'm glad you mentioned Felix 3D. I actually talked to them at TCT. If you look at I did a kind of extra bits summary of my TCT show stuff. So I didn't get to interview them, but I talked to them. Their printers did look pretty neat. I was talking to them mainly to try and get a review of their smaller printers, which apparently are quite old, but I thought they were pretty cool. But I guess maybe... see, if they don't want to do an interview, it's difficult for me to get interesting content from them. So I don't think you're going to see any more from them from Formnext than you did from TCT, just purely because they weren't that interested in talking, which is kind of odd, I guess. I guess they don't really understand the whole YouTube publicity kind of thing. So yeah, each to their own. If that's not their thing, it's not their thing. Other belt. It would be nice to talk with them about their stuff, but you can't win them all, right? This is going in here. Going in here. This is going over here. This is going up to here, around here, down here, through here, onto here, through there. These belts do look different to the normal generic Chinese belts. I don't know if they're actually any better, but they do look kind of nice. Oh, bum. This is in... Come on, thank you. Quotes weight kilometers is damn cool. Just looked at my photo there, very nice. Simple design if you can both 3D print it. Oh god, there's too many chat things to keep up with. I'm just going to keep building rather. I'll do this thing, you guys do that thing. If there's something you want to... If there's companies that you know of that you know have interesting stuff that I might not have heard about, the best thing to do is probably to tweet me, because then I'll get a notification and I'll check those afterwards and I'll have those as notes, so when I go to the show I can review them then, or I'll review them and make a list beforehand, which is probably wiser. But if you just put it in the chat now, then I'll probably miss it. So, and I do want to know them, so... Right, let's try and give you a closer view of what that looks like now. So that's what's going on in there. These belts are, I mean, they're not perfectly tight, they could be tighter, but there's no tensioning mechanism, so it's all just being done by hand, which it'll do me for now. And I do need to cut the ends of these off, obviously, before I start printing anything. It's a shame the alignment of these ends is not better. It looks like they just wanted a mirror, symmetrical part or something. It's not symmetrical because it's got this ridge on one end. But the offset of these pulleys just not quite right, so Not totally sure how that's going to affect the motion, but it will most certainly affect it somewhat. So it's annoying that they've not got that quite right. But, yeah, nobody's perfect. Well, saying that implies that the rest of it nearly is, and I don't think it is. But regardless, I feel like I've still got loads to do. How to install the BMG extruder and filament holder. Fixed the BMG extruder with M4x8 screw and T-nut. That's weird. This bracket is totally different to the one in the picture. Not even slightly similar. But I guess it'll work. I'm not really sure where to put it. I guess it doesn't really matter, which is why they don't tell you to put it in a specific place. But it would be great if I had some damn screws to actually fix it. Yes, I do need to tension so that the y-axis is square, x-axis is square, y is square to... Ooh, that was close. But in this case, as I tensioned them, the kind of linear rails are stiff enough that it didn't really actually move anything. So, which way does this go? I don't know. I'll leave that out afterwards. So these are the screws, and this is presumably the tensioner for this extruder. So I'll just slide that. Oh, it's got to have a spring. Yes, it has a spring. Spring. I don't really like how they've just tried to clone. Oh, it's got a washer as well. The Bumtech does look very similar to it. What are you talking about? Ordered custom idlers and put in quality bearings? Not quite sure I understand what's going on there. Mason Bovee uses flange bearings because the idlers are smallest and Chinese bearings of that size will last for like 80 hours. I think I've missed so much chat that I have literally no idea what's going on in the conversation. Just like message at me if you want my attention. At the moment I'm missing nearly everything. Right, where do we want this? I kind of want it facing this way, I guess, so this side. Brilliant. Ooh, that's nasty. Just another reminder, if you're liking the stream, don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed and you want to see more about the channel. Reviews of this printer and other machines. Got obviously a few to do, like Elegoo Mars, that monoprice, and this machine. I'm going to have quite a lot more time to work on the channel soon, so that'll be really exciting. There'll be a lot more coming. Videos will probably stay at the same rate. I just got to develop a whole load of stuff in the background to make the whole process a little bit smoother. Right. That is on. Filament holder. Where's the filament holder? That's rubbish. That's rubbish. Yeah, inviting other people to help is probably a good idea. Maybe I'll have to ask someone to moderate and stuff next time. Trouble is, it has to be definitely someone I trust. And sometimes I don't really plan my live streams until like the day before, so I don't really want to just jump something on somebody and expect them to just help at a moment's notice. I don't think that's fair. Thank you for the suggestion though. I'm definitely going to try, see if I can find someone if I plan a live stream in decent enough time. How to install the bottom cover and the rubber feet. That's weird. The like assembly instructions kind of just end. This whole like assembly is so far from finished. Like wires are just dangling all over the place. It's just like, okay, you're done. Here's some notes to help you finish off the rest. Well, you can't win them all though, or any of them. So it wants me to. The last instruction is to put the blooming bottom cover and the feet on, and I haven't even got the electronics sorted yet. That's a bit daft, isn't it? So let's go through some of these. Teflon tube, insert the X-axis extruder part must to the end, preventing the hot end blockage. What? Presumably it's talking about this Teflon tube. Must to the end. I think it means... Oh no, it's going to be the whole Bowden tube, isn't it? Insert the Bowden tube all the way to the end. Thanks for watching, Kersey Fabrications. And also, obviously, thank you for the suggestion that you just made. It's really useful. Glad you enjoyed the stream. I'm not sure if I've got this extruded the right way up. I don't know which way filament is coming out, to be honest. I think that way. So this we can go here. Something like that. Change instructions made me want to edit them for free. Yeah. Trouble is, I wouldn't be surprised if they're almost deliberately doing that, because they can be so sure that they're not going to get them right first time that they make them so bad that they get people offer to do them. But I mean, it's odd though, because I'm sure a lot of people would be happy to help them, but I don't think it'd be unreasonable to ask to be paid. It looks like the micro SD card reader is actually broken already, so that's great. Installation the stepper drive module heatsink. Please ensure the heatsinks don't connect with the pins on the stepper drive. So this wants me to add the stepper drive coolers, also known as heat sinks for stepper drivers. It is getting pretty late, it's 10 o'clock now. So we've got two there and two big ones. I'm going to guess these big fat ones are for the 2208s and the little ones are the A4988. I don't know that, but that's my guess. So Oh, that's weird. Stepper drivers weren't even fully inserted. I've honestly no idea if these are touching the pins or not. They're so close. Just kind of hoping that they're not as much as anything. That's not weird. Hopefully that'll be okay. Just listen to the part where you did the Felix 3D. I've some experience with their Pro 4. The with enclosure and touchscreen is a great printer. I might be able to find you some contact details if you like. They sponsor a team I'm part of. That would be absolutely fantastic. I mean, I have contact details for the owner of the company. I talked to him at TCT. And he seemed kind of open to talking about it, but I'm not sure he actually wanted to send one for review. I think because they're just more industrial machines, they didn't particularly want to. If you know I can get one for a great price, that would be cool, because I do want to take a look at them. They do look pretty nice. I'm looking for trying to get more like reliable pieces of kit. Like Chinese printers are great for being cheap and being accessible, but when you just want to be able to print things, a lot of the time, spending a little bit more money makes a whole world of difference. PET normally is PETG. I might be wrong there. I mean, they're not the same material. Everyone's right about saying they have added glycol, but when talking about 3D printing materials, I don't think anyone actually prints with just PET. I think it is always PETG. Keep the parts, linear guide, bearings, optical axis, lubrication. Keep the parts lubrication, of course. To build good parts, the build plate needs to be level and the nozzle needs to be about 0.1 millimeters from the build plate in all locations. This is about the thickness of a single piece of A4 paper. You want to adjust the height of the build plate so that you can barely slide the paper between the nozzle and the build plate with only a little resistance. That's actually remarkably good English. Select Tool, Leveling, move the nozzle to position 1, slide a piece of paper between the nozzle and the heat bed, adjust the nut under the heat bed until the piece of paper slides with just a bit of drag. You will need to run this process for at least twice or until you're satisfied. Drop down a bit there, since adjusting one corner will affect others. 5. Before printing, please make sure that all screws are tight and belts are running smoothly and snug against the extrusions. Belts are running against the extrusions? What are you talking about? Okay, well, the belts are not running against the extrusions, but sure. I think they probably did for that, you're right. That is remarkably good English. Motherboard line installation. Connect the hotbed power cord to the hotbed interface. Hotbed interface. Connect the hotbed. There's no way to manage these cables. We're just going to stick them through a hole in the bottom and just hope for the best. It's nothing like hope to get you good quality. Oh, sorry, I'm not even doing stuff down there now. Looks like all we need now is a little bit of cable management. I'm not going to spend too much time on it now because do we have time for a print? Who's going to be around if I start a print now? If someone can find I need to find a thing model, a Thingiverse model that will take maybe 15 or 20 minutes to print. I don't want to do a Benchy because they typically take like an hour, especially full size one. If someone can find me a decent Thingiverse link for a smallish model that we can print, that would be fantastic. I feel like that's cheating, getting somebody else to look for me, but you know, somebody might want to do it. Could just print a cube. How long does a cube take? I've not printed one in a while. Hotbird interface. Going to be these two here. 12, 24 volts plus minus. Oh wow, that worked well. Fantastic. Oh, I put it in the wrong. So, where the hell is this going? We've got all these cables to do as well. So many cables. Z. That's going to be Z and stop. Oh God, which one's Z and stop? It's got to be one of these ones over here. X, Y, Z minus Z plus. Where are we going? Z min. It's Z min, I guess. So this one. There's no decent adjustability on that bed movement. How are you supposed to get that? That's naff. Yeah, sorry, just noticed, because the Z end stop for the bed is just like a fixed end stop. There's not even an adjustable screw or anything to get it right. So, oh, this one has no marking. What is this supposed to be? Oh, because it's all the way at the other end of the cable. Useful. Y min max. This is Y max. Oh, there's no, okay, there's no min max, it's just Y. This thermistor is the bed thermistor. Hotbed thermal. That's the one. God, this cable management is non-existent. else needs to come through? Oh, we've got the extruder wires. Rubber bands. Be gone. No idea how you're supposed to cable manage this. It's just all over the place. Those both go through one connector, so we'll put them down there. That one this way, that one this way, this one here, that one there. All this lot together. What a load of mess. Right. It's just big bundle of cables. Right. So what I'm trying to do here is just, I want to find something to, oh, there's a cable tie slot. Perfect. Just when you, well, it's sort of a slot in the, don't know if it's meant for a cable tie, but there's a cable tie going in it. I really get it bad at getting the right angle on it. It's like couldn't be further away from where it needs to be looking. Apologies for that. Oh, come on, right. No idea if the length of these cables is even nearly correct. This, and this. It's funny, so many people called me Steve for a really long time because of calling the printer Steve. Everyone just assumed my name was Steve. So that's when I started introducing every video with, hello everyone, Adam here, back with another video, whatever it is. I can't even remember my own intro now, I'm so tired. Just because I didn't want people getting confused as to who I was. It seemed kind of useful information. My verdict so far, anyway, is don't really have one. It's typical Chinese printer so far. Some bits don't quite work because the quality control is bad. Nothing's fundamentally broken yet, so that's good. But equally, not really done anything yet. Still building it, so. Extruder head 1 interface. Okay, here's an example. This is why Chinese printers are less good. So here's why Chinese printers are less good. If this was done by a company with more like care about their customers, they'd have probably assembled it themselves and see what works and what doesn't, and make sure they correct things like this. How am I supposed to easily get these cables in it? This fan is like right in the way. Like, yes, I could just take it out, but it's like you have so much space to put things. Maybe even let me put it in so it's just not there when I want to try and work on stuff. It's just little usability things like that that can become a real annoyance, especially when you've built a fair number of printers. Like, these things you think are obvious, they never are. But you only find that sort of thing by building the machine, because in CAD, like, everything would just fit and work. Like, there's no actual assembly process, so you wouldn't know. Anyway, rant over. Aftershower and broken material detection. Okay, I haven't even got that on yet. Power failure. There's quite a lot of stuff on this control board. Oh, you can put a Wi-Fi module in there. Looks like it's got. I mean, that is normal, like, symbol for Bluetooth. Traces, antenna, external SD card slot. It looks like you could expand it quite a bit. But I have no idea where my sensor goes. Oh, extrusion head 1 thermal down here. Not totally sure if I put that heater in the right one, because these are labelled 0 and 1 and these are labelled 1 and 2. So it might be that I've put that in the wrong one. Extrusion head, fan, inline driver, constant output fan. That's going to be the single fan. So that's going to be cooling fans. That's going to be called the cable mess here is just a whole nother level. Oh, suicides no has gone. Bye bye. Thank you for joining. Clumsy Westerners hands, yeah. I've heard that be said before as well. I mean, I don't even have like sausage fingers or anything. I have quite slim fingers, really. But yes. This is going to be another end stop. Why? Which one have we not got? It's going to be that one. X. Again, the whole little thing that's supposed to tell me which one it is at the other end of the cable. Oh, this is getting a whole... Look, this is the cable mess. If that was not the biggest rat's nest of cables you've ever seen, I don't know what is. Let's put this fan back on before we forget about it. There's another whole end stop switch here. X. There's already one on X. What? I'm so confused. And we got this whole thing as well. What's this supposed to be? This whole end stop switch. And this. None of it's in the instructions. There's not even a cable for this. Oh no, there is, sorry. It's here. I'm not going to Do I need to plug it in for it to work? Is it going to get all confused and unhappy if I try and print without it? That's the question. Doesn't even tell me how to install it. Doesn't give me any screws. Where's it supposed to go? I'm just going to leave the filament sensor off for now. Cable spaghetti, yeah. Heard it called that more than once. Right. Some motors to get in, and then we might. I mean, it didn't even explain where or how to use this conduit. Instructions are basically half of the instructions. That was at least the decent thing about the monoprice printer, even though it didn't work. The instructions were quite good. Ooh, I suppose didn't really have to assemble much though. Yeah, how can you can't print like this. It's just I've no idea. Stuff's just going to catch if I'm not careful. Oh, extruder. This is way too short. Oh no, it's extruder motor. Okay, yeah, it goes over here. This is going to be the jankiest setup you've ever seen. X and Y. There's no way. That. Are you kidding? Oh, there's extra holes. I think they need to go to the extra holes. At the moment, I don't actually know which motor's X and which one's supposed to be Y, so I'll just make a guess and we'll switch them if we need to. When I say we, I mean me, honestly. Right. My camera angle is literally just the worst. Thing is, with Core XY frames, cable management should be quite easy. Like, it wouldn't take much just to say, put this cable here and do these things. Like, you can get some pretty neat cable management with not very much effort. Did you manage to insulate or isolate the 240 volt deathbed on your extruder motor? Suppose technically the actual aluminium plate is grounded, so so it should be fairly safe, I think. Connect the hotbed power cord to the hotbed interface. I think I've done that. Connect the hotbed thermistor to the hotbed thermal. I think I've done that. XY end stop switch to XY limit switch. Z stop to Z stop interface, or use auto sensor switch. Ah yes, this auto sensor switch. Anyone want to give me any clues on how I'm supposed to use this? Because I haven't the foggiest, to be quite honest. Do I glue it to something? Do I just use it temporarily? Is it permanent? Is this piece of foam supposed to be here all the time? Is that temporary? It is 22:30 and I don't drink coffee, so literally 0 caffeine. And I've got work tomorrow morning, so you know. Just kind of winging it. Oh dear. So, it goes on the nozzle while cold. That works well. So how's this limit switch for Z supposed to work? The world hasn't ended in what now? I think if the world ended, time zones probably wouldn't be the biggest concern anymore. Is it like a... Let's see... Do I need to run like an auto leveling and then it's going to just know, or do I need to do it every time I power on? Is there a separate... So there's only... I'm only using one Z end stop switch. Oh, I think it wants the other one as well. Okay, I'm just going to stick it like that at the moment. Oh, golly, trap the wire. Is there a piezo device that creates a small voltage when pressed? Or it's a resistor that changes value the more you press it? Yeah, I think with caffeine, the thing for me is like, because people become addicted to it, that's when you feel like you need it. Like, if you get decent sleep, then I don't really think I'd... Like, I could probably work more hours if I had more caffeine, but is that necessarily a better thing? I don't know. Ooh, we've got a screen peel. I'm probably going to make a mess of this. Nice. Where do we plug in power? Oh yes, we looked at that ages ago, didn't we? Right. Power cable from under the desk. The magic power cable that's just always there. No, I don't have kids. Yes, I can imagine having kids would make the whole situation with caffeine a whole different ballgame. Right. Who wants to take bets on releasing of magic blue smoke in the next couple of minutes? Let's trim these belts. Let's not trim it too close. 100% chance of magic smoke release. I really hope it's not. I'm going to say there's about 100% chance of a cable getting caught as something starts moving though. That's almost guaranteed, I think, at this point. Which angle do we want for this? I reckon this, but moved back slightly. Let's try and move this back a little bit more. So you can get the whole printer in. And the screen, maybe. Oh, it's totally on the piss. The smell is not included, by the way. That's an optional extra. Right. So I like to do like this, like clean, open space. But you know what I was saying at the beginning about, for anyone that was here, about getting an enclosure for this machine? Like all the sides are totally clear. It really would be easy to add an enclosure to this. I mean, apart from the top. You'd have to extend something out the top and put a lid on it. But other than that, there's so much potential to have a decent enclosure. So let's hope the actual printer itself works. That's kind of important too. What I want to do is loosen this out of the way. Okie dokie, let's power it on and see what happens. 3, 2, 1. Nothing. Brilliant. What a result. Is it plugged in? Technical tip of the day. If you want your plugs and power to work, make sure they're plugged in. Let's try again. Ooh, that was a horrible squeal. That is a really dark screen. It's probably not so bad when there's not studio lights pointing straight at it. What can we use to... Here we go. It's a really weird screen. Okay, Z goes the right way. But only one way. Because this seems to be triggering it. I'm not sure that's working quite how it's meant to. It's really weird, they've got the X and Y as diagonals. Y plus is the wrong direction. X. Stop, 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 stop. It just homed in totally the wrong direction. I think that means we need to switch X and Y. Is there enough to test probably just enough. This is not how I'm going to leave these cables, by the way. But I think X and Y is switched. But hang on, X, one of those axes homes just fine, so maybe it's not. God, that beep is horrible. Yeah, this is not how I should have done it, but I've done it. So, tool, move, 10 millimeters, Y plus. There we go. And X plus. Excellent. But I don't have a Z end stop that works at the moment, so I need to get that. So let's put these cables back down. Chance of getting a print done is looking less and less likely. Did not expect the build to take quite this long. I have Ender 3s, but I don't have any problem with noise. Closed loop steppers as well. Technically they're better, but not really necessary for most printers. I mean, there are so many printers that, I mean, nearly every standard consumer printer doesn't use them, and they work well enough. So, I mean, if you wanted to have something that was more reliable and could detect more things about its status, then yes, they're better, but are they necessary? Probably not. The concurrent viewers has been unbelievably stable this entire time. We've been at like 42 to 48 users, literally the whole stream. Between 45 and 60 for the whole stream. Cool. Awesome. The Z switch just doesn't seem to really work how it's supposed to. Right, we can home individually, that's good. So home X. Home Y. Home Z. Cool. Right, we need to now get this switch just right, so that's going to be a case of winding this lot down. Ah. I probably will do a review on it. It'll probably take a little while, but I am planning to do a review. Right, need a piece of paper to do some leveling. Let's just use a piece out of this book. It's a bit narrower than I would normally use, but leveling 0.1. I do need a moderator in here, you're right. There's been some pretty bad messages over the last couple of minutes. Bed's actually pretty reasonably flat. Right, let's just check 0.5 in the middle. Right. That's weird. Oh, there we go. "3D Gusna, hello." Does the Sapphire display the bed stats to look at once it's done? No, it doesn't actually. It's not really like doing any auto leveling. It's just all that code is doing is just positioning the nozzle in those positions to make those positions easier to level to. Ba, ba, ba. I'm not going to bother with any auto bed leveling today. Yes, it is Bowden setup. I'm going to print a calibration cube if I can with this absolute garbage looking orange PLA. So here's a question for everyone. Would you rather they include tiny bits of probably really nasty, not very good filament like this, or that they just not include it at all? Personally, I'm of the camp that unless it's like decent filament, I'd rather they just not put it in. Because there's going to have been some cost in making sure that you get some filament. I guess for new users, it might be useful to have some material. They might expect to have something. But I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've done a lot of them, I just don't want the stuff. This is really horrible filament. It's really horrible and brittle. Right. Let's have a go anyway. The hot end's really cool, actually. How much progress have I done? I mean, I'm basically finished building it. I've not printed anything yet. So I'm just about to get on the old Prusa slicer and get something sliced. In the meantime, here you can see me in the printer. Question is, do I have on me here something suitable to print? Not that. I had that XYZ calibration cube. Oh, we need to get this extruder extruding while we're here. Continue. New files found. Where's the SD card slot? Oh, it's over there. Is this going the wrong way? That's going to take forever. So I'm not sure what the max height is. So I've got to obviously set up a quick printer in Prusa Slicer to get this going. Going to go with just a fairly basic Prusa profile. Probably going to be much. Oh, I don't want all this special G codes. It is a ridiculously long Bowden tube. It's way longer than it needs to be. I've already done like 400 mil and it's only like 2/3 of the way. I'm not even sure if the E-steps is calibrated quite right. I'll probably cut it before. Well, the thing is, because it's been provided like that, I'm inclined to use it like that because I think that's if that's how they've provided it, then that's how they should expect it to be tested. The instructions didn't tell me to cut it, so why would I cut it? Yeah, okay, I know that it should be shorter, but unless the instructions say make it shorter, any general user is not going to make it any shorter. Just notice that this is a really old version of Prusa Slicer. In fact, it's still Slick 3R Prusa Edition. So, yeah, that's the thing. How's this? Oh, yep, that's warm. Okay, I'm just going to go and really gamble on whether this is going to work. It may well just absolutely not really do anything, but at this point I just want to try. Where's my SD card that came with it? In this bag here. Is it branded? No, it isn't. Did we get... We're still not extruded. Well, that's no good. It's not actually pushing anything out of the nozzle. After all that. I'm just going to give up with that horrible filament. It's rubbish. It's going to cause more problems than it solves. Let's see if we can stick some of this on. Well, that just locks into place. Well, there's literally no plastic going anywhere near the hot end, so this is definitely not right. What? What? I could have sworn I enabled preheat on the nozzle, didn't I? It's cold. Is it 27? It's the wrong one, isn't it? I thought this might happen. So basically the extruder is just plugged into the wrong hole. The extruder heater. Okie dokie, let's try again. That beep is going to get on my nerves really quick. Beep indeed. It's such a surprise because you like turn it on and then it boots up and then it goes beep. Extrusion temperature. I think my extruder's going the wrong way. Does anyone know which way a Bondtech is supposed to extrude? Because the way I've got it at the moment seems to be reverse, going all in the wrong direction. Let me just give you a shot of that, what it looks like. That Bontech, well, Bontech style clone copy, is that going in the right direction or is that just totally wrong? I really don't know. Okay, that's definitely preheating now. Such a clone, it doesn't even fit properly. Quality of the moulding is absolute garbage. Ooh, smell that extruder heating up. Blimey, Charlie. That is some fantastic first time extruder smell, that is. I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying it's a bad moulding. I mean, I've not tested it. Maybe it works fantastically, but it doesn't mean the moulding isn't rubbish. Thanks, Bit of Bread. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. Settings, lower height, 0.2. First lower height, 0.2. 2 parameters, infill, 15%. Gyroid. Sweet. $20. Excellent. Right. What are the chances it's going to go really well the first time we try and print something? Let's be optimistic. Ooh. I have a weird settings file called robin_nano35_config on the SD card. And a lot of missing symbols because there was like parts of it in Chinese. Test file, square test, model file, lighthouse. And there's some G codes. 10, 10, 10 cube, 130, TTP, TP. Oh, it's all just rubbish. Right, let's not worry about that too much. Let's stick on this one that I've just created. Test file, modify. Okay, so we've got a couple of files there that we can try out. A small cube and a larger cube. Can you close up one of the closed loop arrangements on the back of the steppers? I'm not totally sure what you mean. I think you need to at vector 3D rather than at feed v3D, by the way, because I think if you at vector 3D it goes up in orange, whereas the v3D ones I can't see. It doesn't, like, just so you know. Do you mean like, oh, is it in here? It's all weird inception now. You talking about this bit? There's no closed loop, like actual control system closed loop. No, so someone else just asked in the chat whether they should get closed loop stepper motors. That's the only reason that came up. How do I print? Home? No. Back. Printing! Let's try my slice calibration crew. Print this model. Yes. Oh, the heat wedge went cold. Getting up to temperature. It's actually, one thing that is noticeable is it is really quiet. Like that monoprice one that we looked at the other day was like a turbine, whereas this is actually quiet. There's a lot of fan going on in the enclosure below, which is probably a little bit unnecessary, but what can you do? This is really not great. I really want to get a better shot of the actual printing. There we go. Does it have thermal runaway enabled? I don't know. They'll be testing that for the review, but I'm not going to do that right now. Code steps are pretty much redundant, especially with 2130 drivers have sensors having and skip tech detection as standard. We did look earlier. I think the X and Y were 2208s and the Z is A4988. Come on, extrude filament, extrude filament. I think the filament is going the wrong way. Yep, filament's going the wrong way. It was looking so promising as well. Right, we need to sort this out. That's a shame. It was looking like it might actually do something decent there. So we need to damn it. Oh, that's the camera. Sorry, I'm standing right in front of the camera. Right, okay. Damn it. Okay, right. I guess I should have assumed that, given that the sticker was the wrong way up, that the extruder would have belonged the other way up, but there we go. It just looks like it goes the other way because that's the way the Bondtech one goes. Getting this extra threaded thing is quite difficult. Come on, please. Right, without the washer it's a bit easier. Okay. I've got some tension. Chat, I've been missing it. Retrograde filament. Yep. Right. Printing. Calibration cube. Confirm. Right. I'm going to disappear for about 30 seconds. I'll leave you monitoring my printer heat up time if it's going to focus on a suitable part of that screen. I shall be back in literally like 2 minutes. Right, looks like I was back just in time. I'm not sure if that angle up there is actually going to be useful or not. Wow, quite a lot of people disappeared in the time that I was gone. You can hear me though right now. It's all working audio wise. I think it is. It is pretty quiet. Oh, there's a whole load of like extra filament there, but it is pretty quiet, I'll say that. That first layer was too far away though. I'm not sure if it's going to be able to finish. Well, we'll see where we get to, see what happens. Right. Do you want a wide angle shot or do you want closer up? Let's try and get you. I've given you a shot, but it's it's difficult. I don't have a tripod that's like that high. It's either down here or on the top. So it's difficult to get something that's going to give you the right view. Yeah, it's just. Maybe that's just about going to reach. Positively geriatric. Yeah, it is. Clean the desk. Are you mental? Cleaning? Nah, it's alright. We'll make do. It's just dumping that one blob of plastic from one point in the print to another. Look at it, just picking it up, putting it down, picking it up, putting it down. I really want to try and get it, but ninja skills. Where did I? Oh, did I drop it? It's here. It's a shame I can't improve this focus distance. Let's see if I can. Is it just me, or does anyone else get really nervous watching your printer like move a blob around? At some point it's just going to get stuck there. The nozzle's going to hit it and it's just going to remove the print from the bed. Like, I hate it when that happens. Oh, sorry, JMTX. It's a 24 volt printer. The power supply we looked at right at the very beginning, I think it was 350 watts. So, yeah, it's reasonable. Stand the tripod on a filament box. Yeah, it's a good idea, but as we're not doing too much now, I will have a little bit of a tidy up, and I'll try and get you guys a better view. How about that? We'll at least get a better view for the second half of the print, if not the first. Yeah, I think those, so I'm just going to, those ducts look like they're kind of just pointing directly inwards, but the actual, you probably can't see it because the contrast is low, but the actual duct is pointing down like that, even though the face is, so the air's coming like that, but the cut is, it might be blowing a little bit inwards, like kind of curling up, but I think the duct is kind of pointing it downwards. Right, let's get this one just below here. Sorry. I'll send you wide for a minute while I fiddle with the camera. So much luck, I'm a professional. I think this printer's got quite a lot of potential, you know. Some of the basics are not perfect, but they're pretty good. Generally, it's all set up rather well. A lot could be improved on the instructions, given that half of them just are missing. The noise is good, the choice of stepper drivers is reasonable. Yeah, cable management could do with massive improvement, but that's a story for a lot of printers, I think. Motion, I mean, to be fair, this is the motion profile that I literally just generated off random settings. I didn't use their settings. Maybe we'll do the other one as well, which is little small 10mm cube, which is settings they provided, so that one might give us some more interesting information. Bird coolers. Not sure quite what you mean. Do you mean like, I think Stratasys or old 3D Systems printers that had enclosures had some cooling come in through a duct? Not really got much experience with any cooling other than similar to what you see here, so couldn't really say, to be honest. Yeah, I'd agree with you, Ian. There are definitely problems, but a lot of the fundamentals which are difficult to change are done reasonably well. So like rod's a good diameter, stepper motor's all right kind of configuration, the whole XY, core XY thing's working pretty well. The belt alignment's definitely not really quite right, which is one thing I'm definitely going to have to moan about, because belt paths are important to getting the right like geometry out of your parts. But yeah, a lot of the stuff here is done well. The electronics looked rather decent, looked kind of safe. Grounding maybe could be improved, but when couldn't it be? Oh, I'm so tired now. It's probably obvious, I'm fading. Yep, that's a rigid ink spool. It's one of the ones they gave me when I was doing the, well, I still am, but the Institute of 3D Printing. Has anybody here heard of that? I've done quite a few instructional videos this year. 11 PM, it's nearly 12 PM here. It's 11:38. Yeah, I've done quite a lot of videos for them this year, so it was kind of sad to see rigid ink go. But I mean, the Institute of 3D Printing is what they want to do, so I think it's still interesting. So it'd be good. There's so many good quality filament suppliers now that I think their prices were just kind of unmanageable. Especially with Prushiment, like they're making so much good filament, and it's flying off the shelves, and the price is really reasonable, even though there's obviously a bit of more shipping cost on top. But yeah, you still got loads of other suppliers that all have really good stuff. So yeah, it's not the best that they've gone, but you know, there's other places to get good filament. I totally agree with you, Dibs. Apart from the fact that this bed does seem really quite rigid. Like, normally with printers like this, you can see the front of the bed wobble as it moves, and I'm not seeing any of that at the moment. I mean, yeah, it's quite a slow print, it's quite a lightweight print, and because it's Bowden, your head is quite lightweight, but yeah, I mean, it would be cool, but it's quite a lot more cost, I think, to add second Z lead screw, yeah, and other rods and stuff. But I think there's like an Ender 5 Pro or like XL or whatever it is that's really big. I do use ColorFab a fair bit for when I want filament of a specific colour, So because they do their RAL colour filaments, if I need a specific colour to a specific specification, then I pretty much always go to Colour Fab, because everywhere else just kind of names them generic names generally. If I want sparkly things, quite a lot of the time I go to Prushiment. If I want general purpose use, I'll probably go to Ooze Nest Materials or 3D Prints. Ooze Nest have a really good selection actually. They've got a really broad selection. And it seems like not a lot of people know that they even do filament. So if you're looking into filament, I'd recommend going and have a look. 3D Prints and Ooze Nest. Not sponsored by either, by the way. I really didn't expect this to take 4 hours. I thought 2 hours would be enough to do the whole lot and a print. I suppose I went really quite slow on starting up. I think it took me 40 minutes just to get everything out of the box. And of course we lost like 10 minutes at the start because the whole configuration, OBS just didn't go well. That YouTube live system's just a little bit broken. Getting there though now. We're about 80% of the way through, I think, on this print. Anybody have any more questions specifically about the printer while we're watching, waiting? It's really odd actually. I'm just looking at the stats for this stream. Concurrent viewers at the moment is 43. 809 playbacks, which presumably that's like total views. An average watch time of 12 minutes, which implies a lot of people have come and gone, appeared and disappeared. Yet the consistency of viewers is just like, it makes it look like people have just joined at the start and never left. Because everything's just like between like 45 and 55 the whole time. But I suppose any variation implies people are coming and going. Do you usually do Z-hops on Core XY? Yeah, why wouldn't you? I mean, I always did with Steve, I think. Just the same as reason as anywhere else, just to prevent you kind of knocking any curled up plates on the print and stuff like that. The outer edges of the extruder head's bottom look aligned with the nozzle. Do you mean like the fans at the edge that are sticking down? They're pretty close. They're probably maybe 2 and a bit, 3 millimeters away from the bottom of the nozzle. So there is a gap, but just not very much. No. Z-Hop is all about motion in Z-axis anyway. I suppose, are you thinking because of the cantilever bed? That's more of a cantilever bed thing than a Core XY thing. Core XY really only talks about the XY axis. Maybe you knew that, I don't know. Oh, I'm so tired, sorry. 4 hours doing a stream. I am going to finish the stream, just so you know, once this print ends. This is going to be the end, so it's literally a few minutes left. If you have any questions or anything you want to say, now is the time to do so. Because I need to go to bed, because I'm going to be waking up in like 6 hours. Yeah, so with Core XY, that is just talking about the arrangement of really the belts and the motors for your X and Y axis. The whole Z axis arrangement can be done in quite a few different ways. Cantilever is one of them, like dual supports is another. 3-point kind of lead screws or ball screws is another way to do it, to get like true level kind of beds. A short review of the print would be great before you hit the bed. Yeah, so I'll give you. I'm probably not going to be able to show it very easily on camera, because in order to see like print details, is the quality of the stream I don't think is really good enough. So I'll tell you what I see, and we'll try and get the camera as close as possible. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, cooling fans have gone off. There we go. That's weird, it didn't move the... Right. Okie dokie, let's get this camera out the way and move it down so we can do some close-ups of this print. Ugh. Okie dokie. Excuse me, I'm very sorry about that. So, I'm not sure it's going to focus quite how we need it to for you to be able to see anything about this print. So, the colour looks really, really inconsistent, which is odd. I wonder if there's definitely, so obviously problems with the first layer. That whole chiboodle is really just really bad around the edges, although that central pit looks actually pretty good. I think maybe there was definitely a lot of under extrusion at the start, that's what it was, and then it caught up, but it was already bad around the edges. I think the whole skirt got caught in there as well. Definitely some weird like artifacts in the letters. I think that's just a kind of retraction thing. I'm not sure why it would need to retract to do this shape, but it's probably what it is. There is a tiny bit of ghosting. It's really not very obvious though. I'd be happy with not really changing much in terms of ghosting. you see this at all? I'm not sure it's really focusing, is it? Why won't it focus? Is it just too close? I could have sworn it would. Yeah, see, it's like it gets it and then it decides to just. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's lost it again. Top layer, probably a little bit. Top layer looks pretty good actually. Maybe slightly over extruded. It's weird how this bit looks a little bit different. I think that's probably retraction where it's moved from one area to another. Again, retraction is not going to be tuned in properly. The calibration setting was from a direct drive printer, so there's no way. But I mean, the walls look really quite consistent, then even. The extrusion amount, all the walls all look nice even after a bit of light on them. The first few layers, like down here, are much narrower than the rest of it. Like it had some elephant's foot compensation for 5mm and then stopped, or some extrusion was not going right for the first bit or something. The corners are really nicely rounded, like it's got linear advance or something in that profile. I suppose that's more of a slicer setting. Not sure what else to say really. I mean, considering I didn't even use the proper model that came with it and just sliced it kind of randomly, I'd say that's really quite a good print. Yeah. Overall, I'm so tired. Overall, I've been actually really happy with the machine. The assembly process was a little bit problematic. Some of the instructions not hugely clear, and a large portion of them missing at the end. Electronics-wise, I think pretty good. Apart from, again, because of instructions, you just have this huge harness that's just all over the place. Print quality seems quite reasonable, although faster speeds probably need to be tested to really analyse whether it's comparable to other machines at similar speed. It's quite easy to get good quality when your print speeds are low. The bed wobble was reasonably good. There was very little to see on this fairly slow moving and small print, though I wouldn't necessarily expect it to go up too high unless we rapidly increase the acceleration. Hot-ended extruder setup was a little bit of a curious one. The cooling's a little bit debatable at the moment. I'm not sure how much is cooling the nozzle and how much is cooling the print, but it is a fan on both sides, so that's kind of good. It is nice and quiet, which is rare considering the size of the fan. Not sure how well it's going to keep cool for more exotic filaments and things, but seems to be doing, a very good job at the moment. Belts and kinematics wise, they were fairly easy to set up. The whole top assembly is already pre-assembled, so that works really well. But using nylon zip ties to put the belts on and having no decent method for tensioning is definitely not ideal. Not sure how they're going to... I mean, all the belt pulleys really need to be rearranged to make sure they're properly aligned, because belts not aligned is a problem. I'm probably going to do a video on that soon because it seems to be a bit of a weird discussion topic. But other than that, some fitting issues with the lead screw nut, and that was pretty much it, I think. Other than that, just a little bit weird in the instructions, but yeah, not too bad at all. So, again, thank you very much everyone for watching. It's been quite a good stream, I think. Got a bit tired towards the end, and maybe some parts in the middle were a little bit difficult, but I think it was quite fun nonetheless. I think I'll try and be doing another one next Wednesday, but we won't be doing a build from scratch. I need to repair my Prusa, so I'm probably going to dismantle that and upgrade it to the Mark III's with the kit. And I think there was something else. Oh yes, my extruder all got bunged up with plastic, so that's all broken. So might just be doing a repair, so that'll be a bit more of a casual chat, because I'm not going to be reviewing much in that live stream. I think everyone's quite familiar with the Mark III's and the upgrade process already. But we're going to be doing it, so it'll be good to look through and see how well those instructions work. Right, bye for now. Thank you very much, everyone, and I shall see you all fairly soon.